Welcome back to Straight to the Point. We're finishing up our talk on the re-election of President Obama. I'm glad that he's back in office, that he can continue to fix what the Republicans did 4 years ago, and get our brothers back from service. Speaking of service, we know that there's a war starting out in Jerusalem, and I know that the president was guaranteed that we were going to get our brothers and sisters back from the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. Now we're looking at a war in Jerusalem. Are we looking at war again? Will we, as the United States, help our countrymen out in Israel?
I think that they will have to approach this and handle this with kid gloves, and they will have to approach this very, very carefully, and on what they decide to do and what they're going to do. Now, this is the thing that's going to happen. If they don't jump into it like the GOP would want them to jump into it, then it's going to create controversy on Obama's side because he's weak, he's not strong enough, he's not this, because they have Jerusalem, they have a stake, or they have something at risk with Jerusalem. I never really understood the United States relationship and love affair with Jerusalem. I never really did. But because you have to think, they already think that it's the United States against the Muslim. They think that already. But the Muslim have people like Iran on their side. They have China. They have Russia on their side. And if the United States don't handle this carefully, it's gonna be World War III.
Well, I think it's definitely, like you said before, you have to handle it with kid gloves. It's a very delicate situation here. And the first thing, and what Obama talked about during his campaign for re-election, is to try to enact sanctions first and try peace talks. Well, obviously, the time for peace is going out the window.
The United States have had some of the toughest sanctions against them that ever. But you also have to look at what with the Gaza and the West Bank, and look at what the Israelis are doing to these guys.
Right. Well, it goes back to biblical times, which the show's definitely not long enough for us to go into all that. We'll be talking forever on that. I will say this is that at the end of the day, the United States and the president more specifically is going to have a very hard decision to make, and being that, do we stand side by side with Israel, and with Israel looking like the aggressor? Because the delicacy within the situation is that Israel is our staunchest ally in the Middle East. Okay, so they, to a certain degree, look after and help us with situations dealing with Iraq, Iran, Syria, Libya, Korea, those particular situations, but more so dealing within the Middle East because of the financial gain and worth that's around that particular area. Because, like Millwood said earlier, it all comes back to money, and that particular region is so rich in oil and other things that we have to protect our world interests. And not only that, but make sure the powers that be, those other countries such as Iran, Iraq, are not able to monopolize that particular area. So to bring it all back home, it's a very, 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 very delicate situation to where we cannot jump into this full throttle, because we just got out of Iraq. We're pulling our troops back. By 2014, our troops will be gone from Afghanistan. Our economy cannot withstand sending our troops into another war.
But see, it's not, and I agree with you, but see, it's what the GOP want. That's the reason why they wanted to they want to add all this trillions of dollars to the defense budget that they didn't want to ask for. Now, they have a yard full of brand new airplanes that they're not using. The airplanes are sitting there deteriorating. They got a yard full of tanks. They said, no, we need more, a leaner, meaner, faster army. We don't need all these tanks. But see, it's money that's building these tanks. They're building tanks that the government don't even want. They don't need them. So it's money. So now what they're going to do, ship these tanks over there, blow them up, destroy them, leave them over there, sell them, whatever we're going to do, and let's build some more so we can make more money and put that in our pocket. But now you have to start bringing this stuff back over to our soil, and we have to approach it and try to let it subside, let it settle on its own.
But let's be
with minimum interference.
Right. Well, let's be honest. The GOP talks out of both sides of their mouth, because on one hand they should say, well, we should be strong in our defense. We should be able to help and serve our allies. But in the same breath, they would sit here and say that, guess what? We need to be strong at home. We need to reduce our national debt. We need to make sure that we strengthen the economy. So you can't have it on both ends. You can't burn both ends of the candle. Okay, you have to choose one or the other. And right now, what we need to do as Americans, both the GOP and the Democratic Party, is focus in at home. Make sure that we take care of home first. That should be, and if I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're a Democrat, and it speaks more so to the GOP. If you're so pro-American, you would take care of home first. That's my problem with the GOP.
And you know what? I don't disagree with anything, but one thing you said, take care of home. Now, one thing, I mean, it's apparently that all three of us were African American, you know. And one thing that I hate when I hear my brothers and my sisters, I'm going to claim them. I'm not going to put them on Millwood, his brothers and sisters.
Those his kinfolk.
But I hate it when they start talking about what Obama hasn't done for them. I hate it. And I question myself. I joke about it, and I say, what do they want him to do? Come and trim the hedges, rake the leaves? What has he done for us? He haven't done anything for us. My thing is, Obama have not locked our kids up. Obama has not sent them off to a state prison. He hasn't did this. How many of these people that's crying, what has he done for us? How many of them know their city councilman? How many know their congressman or senator? How many people even know who their governor is? How many of them do know the judges that's in their district, whether they elected or hired? What about the sheriff? What about the alderman? What about these, there's so much stuff that we can affect our own community right here locally. We have to come together and be able to affect that before we can expect for him to come in. Because even like what Obama did when he was begging the governors in the states to take this money, this stimulus package, and rebuild your infrastructures. How many of these governors were sending the money back? Florida governors sent it back.
Which, you know what, was two-faced, because I would say majority of those did take some of that stimulus money.
Oh, they took it. They didn't spend it.
Right, they didn't spend it, but they took it though.
They took it, but they didn't spend it.
Two-faced crooks.
And they didn't spend the money, and they sitting on the money. But see, the thing is,
lining their pockets.
But they look at us like, oh, he hasn't did anything. And I had this debate with someone before, and they said, I told them it's like a family member that just hit the lottery. Now you want to run to him and say, can you help me pay my rent? That's his money. That's his success, his luck, if he do anything for you, fine, great, wonderful. If he don't, your life still have to continue. I still got to get up and go to work tomorrow.
This is no different than when Moses took the Israelites into the promised land, and they just expected everything to happen right then and there. Everything takes time, and you have to give this man time. This man came in with a $1 trillion deficit, okay?
And he has priorities that he have to deal with,
and he has to take care of that. And we need to give him time to get things back in order. And it's not going to take 2 terms. It's not going to take 2 terms. It's going to take more than 2 terms. The key is now, he's going to do what he can these next 4 years. The key is to keep a Democratic president for the next 4 years and maybe another 2 terms to keep it going, because it's going to take time to get this deficit down.
But you know what? In the famous words of JFK, ask not what your country can do for you, but as what you can do for your country, meaning that you have to take accountability of yourself first. Ask what you can do first to improve your surroundings, your situation, your neighborhood, your environment, and then see what the government can do for you.
I agree.
All
right, we touched on a little politics. That's my era, my genre. That's my arena. That's the thing that I love to do.
We appreciate it, big bro. Hey, you got to stay abreast of what's going on in the world today, man.
Just to let you know, we're not all about sports.
Yeah, we do that. But hey, I appreciate y'all touching that. I feel good now. I can smile.
Absolutely. And you know what? Speaking of politics, and this situation gets real political for my people down south here, you know, where football is a religion. we have a situation here where we have 3 undefeated teams going on right now in college football.
3, who is those?
3 undefeated teams being the Oregon Ducks.
The who?
Oregon Ducks.
Oregon Ducks.
The Oregon Ducks.
Flying.
Now that's not the team with the crazy colors in the field.
Yeah, you got with the flashy uniforms and all of that. You got it. You
that
got
score
it.
every 7 seconds.
You got it. You got it. The Oregon Ducks, the Kansas State Wildcats, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Dun, dun,
Notre
dun,
Dame?
dun, dun, dun.
Notre Dame.
That's right, baby.
Notre Dame is undefeated.
Wow.
So we got a little controversy here. And my question is this, because we all know the institution of Notre Dame and who they are. You know, they're not only known in the United States, their reputation, but the world renowned. Is that does Notre Dame or should Notre Dame, if they go undefeated, play for a national title if you have Oregon and Kansas State undefeated?
I believe Notre Dame is where they are. They're number 3 in the country, and that's where they are. They even though they pulled that win off against Pittsburgh last week, it was scary. It was real scary.
When was the last time Notre Dame was relevant?
Well, it's been a while. It's been a while. Yes. And
Rocky Ishmael was playing with them when they were last relevant, wasn't it?
Don't talk about my team, man.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
Don't let me get started.
If you let Notre Dame backers tell you, and if you let people who support Notre Dame tell you, they've always been relevant. I mean, up until this year, what other team had their own network? Notre Dame, all of Notre Dame games are shown on the NBC network. So they've always been relevant in the mind of people because regardless, there are certain teams that you bring up that stir up controversy. Duke Blue Devils, New York Yankees, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, for some Dallas Cowboys. For some reason, they stir up emotion. So you let them tell it. They've always been relevant. Me personally, man, you got to win to be relevant.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, right now I agree with the standings. I really think there's going to be an upset this weekend. I think Stanford has a good chance of beating Oregon this weekend because Oregon's defense is suspect. I mean, come on, they gave up 56 points or plus 50 points plus to USC in a win. Their defense is giving up almost 40 points a game. Stanford is a very good football team. I wouldn't sleep on them. So if I had to choose an upset, I would pick that as a possible upset this coming weekend. Now Notre Dame, they should win against Wake Forest, but then they have to go to USC. So then Notre Dame has to prove itself against USC. Now I think we did the BCS standings as far as bowl games and where Notre Dame would fall if they remain number 3. And I believe they were going to go to the Fiesta Bowl the way they had it set up, depending if everything remained the way it is now. But a Notre Dame, Oregon, or a Notre Dame, what's the other Kansas State would be a good matchup.
Well, see,
a good match. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I love Notre Dame. I've always loved Notre Dame.
That sounds
but
like
I don't think I would want to play Oregon. I don't think.
Well, my question is this right here: should a Notre Dame team that A, doesn't have any conference affiliation, B, has played a very inferior schedule, should that Notre Dame team be considered ahead of a possible one-loss team coming out of the SEC, regardless if it's Alabama or if it's Georgia? Because we all know SEC is king. The SEC is the best football conference in America.
But you can only get 2 teams from a conference in the BCS. You can only get 2 teams.
Well, wait a minute. Are we talking about a championship game? What are we talking about?
In the play in the BCS bowl games.
Well, no,
you can only get 2 from your conference.
Well, actually, that's incorrect because last year you had Alabama and LSU play for the national title, right, and you had a SEC team go and play in another BCS
and that's
bowl
because
game.
they're playing for the national championship.
That's
they're not playing. You're not going to have 2 SEC teams play for the national championship this year.
Folks, sound like we got some disagreement up in the air. Looks like we're going to have to settle this one once we come back to the break. You tune into the Eminem Boys, straight to the point. Mitchell and Millwell will be right back after this.